My oh my. You stumbled upon my video. Let me tell you about a story of a girl who grew up in a hidden mafia household. The story begins at a funeral where our MC is about to reveal the secret family history of the late successful businessman, Mr. Robert.
Anyone else who wants to speak?
Yes, I'm with Louis.
We have one more speaker before Sir Robert's son. All yours, miss?
Just give me the mic.
Oh, okay.
You must all be wondering what a young lady like me is doing at Robert's funeral. Before everything else, I'm not his mistress. Not his secret daughter, not his student, nor his sister. All you have to know is that I've got a paper here that Mr. Robert handed me years ago.
Hearing Mr. Robert's name, the people slowly began to pay full attention, but not quite there yet.
Ooh, that got everyone's attention, huh? Believe it or not, I'm not here to disrespect your beloved master, partner, father, and husband. Last week, Louis called me to attend and speak at Rob's funeral. The old will was 6 years ago. Now let me read the first 3 lines from a more recent will from 3 years ago.
Hi, Susan. Rebecca.
That's me. I'm Rebecca. Okay, let me start again.
Hi, Susan. Rebecca must be getting on your nerves right now. Good, because the only reason she's reading this is that I didn't reach 60. I hereby revoke any old wills that I have previously made.
All right, will everyone take me seriously now? Before I continue, Mr. Robert has asked me to make sure that only the right people should be hearing me disclose the rest of the will. Whoever is in charge, send everyone who's not supposed to be here. Get moving, Louis. And will somebody bring me a chair and an orange juice? I want to sit, I'm exhausted, and Rob has caused me a lot of trouble getting here.
Louis began to lead some of the guests outside, as this was now a eulogy turned internal meeting among Mr. Robert's close family members and business partners.
The date today is the 12th of January 2020. Yesterday, Rebecca saved my life when I got into a car accident. The will I wrote...
What? That's it about me? Hell no, Rob. Insensitive much? Calm down, people. This is my first time reading this. Do you think Rob just trusted me because I saved his life? I'm a woman of my word. I promised to only read this when I got here on the podium. Will everyone relax? This is just as inconvenient for me as it is for all of you.
Some of the business partners who had their +1s got sent home were now becoming impatient with Rebecca's demands and whining. That was enough reason for them to boo our MC.
Are you booing me? Damn. Rob expected that too, and he told me to read the inside of the envelope. Let me see.
Tell them every partner and relative is in the will, and if they give you any reason you can't finish reading, everything will be all yours.
Yeah, right. Suck it up. Come on, I dare everyone to interrupt or disrespect me one more time. Do you have something to say, Louis? I don't think so. See? Even his lawyer can't do anything. Get the kids and that baby out. Who brings an infant to a funeral?
Sending the kids and the crying baby out, Rebecca was finally beginning to establish full control. It was like our MC deliberately kicked out people she didn't trust enough to reveal the rest of the will. The people began to realize this as they kept their composure even as Rebecca continued to notice the smallest things that annoyed her. But for now, she continues.
The will I wrote 3 years prior today was written when I wasn't still aware of...
Didn't I say get the kids out? Only the partners and family will remain.
The kids Rebecca was calling out turned out to be the young masters who would take over their respective families' share. One of them was Eric. Louis then explained and reassured MC that it was safe to continue.
Good. Now let me warn all of you who stayed. I already have a lot of properties and I'm pretty much set for life. I have nothing to gain from this. As much as I don't like to read the next part, I regret to say that Rob and I have an absolute agreement. Oh, Rob, I know you would only bring me trouble.
The will I wrote 3 years prior to today was written when I wasn't still aware of Susan, my wife, and my brother Jin's infidelity.
Will you people stop gasping? Are you donkeys?
The evidence will be revealed in later parts of this will. I have a lot to say but can't put it in words. Just let Rebecca tell what happened like we agreed. Kind of. Rebecca, tell them what happened to me in your town.
What? I'm going to strangle you, Rob. Oh. You have already died. Hey, old dude in the middle, are you sleeping?
No, ma'am, I think I just need coffee.
Do I look like I care? Are you one of the partners?
No.
Are you family? Does anybody know this guy? What in the world is wrong with you people? Will everyone confirm who's who so none of these things go public? I can't seriously be the reason for a press leak.
He's the homeless guy who frequents the park.
Oh my God, don't just drag him out, idiot. At least give him something to eat or spend. Send him to the kitchen and let him have his food and coffee.
There is no kitchen in this building, ma'am.
Ugh, peasants. To the back room. They serve coffee there.
With all that has been said, the will turned out to be more of a revelation from a dead man than a revocation of an old will. The adults get it. However, Eric fails to understand why MC had to bring everyone to a painfully dragging reveal as he suddenly bursts out.
I can't take this anymore. Who do you think you are to order us all around?
Hey, calm down. She's got Dad's final will.
Excuse me? Who are you two?
I'm Selena, and I'm sorry about my brother Eric. He is...
Shut up or I'll leave. Going back, let's see. Let me clue you all in. Rob's adventure 3 years ago brought him to our secluded little town and got involved with us, the mob. As he is not allowed to disclose information that could put thousands of people's lives and livelihoods in potential danger, I have to assess this formal event personally. I only came here to filter what's written in Rob's secret final will and then some, but now he's asking me to tell you his story instead. Fine.
MC smiles as she realizes everyone is equally terrified and curious about Mr. Roberts' involvement with them.
It's a good thing I have a contingency speech just in case that old boss of yours pulled something like this. Oh, Rob, I always knew your intention. Here's my farewell gift. You better enjoy this. Back in my town, Rob was robbed. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Rob was looking for someone in our town and booked a motel to scout the place, but he got robbed. The gangbangers were beating him up when he refused to give the car keys. That was when I saved him. Believe it or not, my town is a shithole, but I have a respectable reputation, and no one dares touch me. I saw an outsider getting robbed, or so I thought. I stopped my car in front of the ruckus, and the gangbangers told me that Rob was an enemy gang member. Somehow, I doubted that. I told them that I got it from there. Now you see, I grew up in a mob house or hideout where every day I witnessed stuff I wasn't supposed to, and Rob looked like he was one of the two kinds of upper echelons, the businessman type, so I brought him to the house. Being the adopted daughter of a mob boss, I had both the immunity and privilege to enter rooms, and a lot happens within these rooms. Rob was still unconscious, and the in-house doctor patched him up and put the tab under my name. The violence and brutality in the mob house, even under power struggle, made it dishonorable to harm me or the hired professionals. The medical staff, the government officials, and the servants were pretty much safe. So you see, Rob had no right to be there. He had no legal shut-up documents, so I tied him up, blindfolded him, blasted noise music in his ears, and brought him to Tony, aka the Tortellino Terror Tony. Tony is a feared hitman and was one of the bosses. He was known for his ruthless efficiency and his appetite for the finer things in life, and he said,
My sweet Rebecca, oh no. Despite his clothes, I'd say he's a fine old businessman for sure.
Useless, I replied. He didn't know Rob, so I went to the other boss, the meaner one. Salvatore Fusilli is the fugitive turned good Samaritan who's known for his espionage work. He said he didn't know him either. As I wheeled Rob out of Baldy's room, I could barely hear him say,
Don't forget the NDA, kitty.
Rob finally woke up and started to panic. I brought him to my room adjacent to Dad's, the ultimate mobster, Big Boss. He must have heard me, and I heard him knock. Now, you must be confused as to why a mob boss would knock, but he did. Like I told you, the real bosses in that mob house are ordinary people. The respect we received from the warlords, monsters, and soulless criminal bosses was an absolute rule. As long as we kept our mouths shut from the violence and internal affairs amongst the mob members, nothing will go wrong, except that Rob was a danger to me and the civilians. But I still opened the door. I let Rob inside the hideout, so he was my responsibility. I was now asking the guy who adopted me and decided I belonged to the mob. He knew Rob. Can you believe it? But he won't tell me how he knew Rob. All he said was these exact words.
That's your past calling you home. Take him to town and settle it there. I know this day would come. Do what you have to do, and remember, I have always loved you like my own Katarina.
As if saying goodbye, Dad hugged me and thanked me for making him and everyone else feel like human beings all these years. I just said, Are you on something? If this old guy is my ticket home, you don't have to worry. The mob is my one and only true family. He smiled and left my room. Rob was still struggling in the wheelchair. I dragged Rob to my car, and as we were about to head to town, Jack, the other big boss, who was surprisingly on top of the extreme food chain with his color and was the one second with the most influence in the house, went out. Normally, none of the top dogs would casually go out of the house, but this one did. It was a super rare occasion for many of the servants. He had tears in his eyes, just like my dad. Those two used to try and kill each other, but like light in the dark, I brought peace to the house when I arrived as a baby. They were my surrogate parents, every member of the mob. I was in no way tied to the hierarchy or any family in the mob. I treated everyone like cousins, uncles, and aunties, except in front of the outer servants, so I just said, Uncle, I will be back. Here, take my bracelet bracelet so you won't have to worry that I won't. You know how much I treasure that bracelet." He smiled, and as he tried his best not to show any emotion, a single tear dropped from his sinister-looking eyes. It was rarer than diamonds, just like the bracelet I let him hold on to. Wow, everyone's so well-behaved now. Are you intrigued by life in a mob house? Do you want me to continue, or should I finish the will instead?
The will can wait, right?
It can wait.
It wasn't a mob before. The gang house has had a bad reputation, and the only children who could be there were the budding psychopaths incapable of empathy, who are usually the successors. Yet, an infant me was nursed and raised by the soon-to-be bosses at that time. I don't know why, but when I was in the baby stroller, I would laugh if anyone was arguing or being loud, but would frown when they started hurting each other. My presence must have struck something inside the new breed of bosses back then, as they told me, that everyone never knew how to treat me until my dad just told them that I was the official cat or kitten at the time of the gang. It was just a gang house before I came. The decisions that my dad made because he had me, well, they had me, made it possible to transcend the gang into a full-blown mob. The violence started to diminish, as everyone was now busy with making money, and legal business to some extent. That wouldn't be possible if the mob house didn't exist, as my presence in it made it a safe place for negotiations and dealings between different mobs and affiliates. A Russian mob even claimed that I was family. It might be my fake red hair that my Russian auntie, the silencer of the lambs Olga, always dyed me with. Needless to say, the stereotype that being a mob member meant you were either a criminal or a gangster was suddenly not that true anymore. The mob was now filled with a lot of wealthy businessmen and politicians alike. But the reputation that it's scary to be involved still stands true to this day. I witnessed people get hurt inside the house so many times that I became desensitized to all of it. My dad never asked for my loyalty. He made sure that if there was any power struggle, I would never be kicked out of the house. I was his daughter, but ultimately, I was the mob's house cat. I have a lot of properties under my name that aren't necessarily mine. Every property that was left behind by former members was passed on to my name. I lost count of how many documents I have signed already. I was a placeholder for legally owned properties. I would occasionally visit. Legally owned. Why did I read my speech like that? Legally owned.
Are we all part of the mob now?
Wow, calm down, Jimmy. Yeah, that's your name now. In a sense, everyone is in the mob, and the government is in the mob. We are all mob members. It's just a matter of how involved you are. I have not disclosed anything sensitive or specific. If anything, I just confirmed that mobs are real, which everyone knows anyway. So no, Jimmy, but the mob appreciates it if you keep your mouth shut. You don't want to end up somewhere you're not supposed to. Right, Jimmy? Let me go back to what happened. I kept Rob tied and blindfolded as I took him to town. The police and the people in town never bothered with the mob, so I was free to drag Rob around. I sat him in the busiest restaurant and removed his blindfold and earmuffs. Earmuffs? Why did I write this? I meant the headset that was blasting my chuga chuga music. He thought he was in a dungeon or something, but as he opened his eyes, we were with a lot of people. As he saw me, he began to question his and everyone's sanity. He might have been dumbfounded that no one cared that he was being dragged in cuffs and blindfolded in public. He then asked what was happening. I told him he was on private property and he messed with the wrong people. He began to explain that he was looking for me. He tried to show me a picture from his back pocket, but he couldn't find it as I had already taken it. I flicked it to his face and said, "You looking for this, you creep?"
No, this isn't like that. I'm a wealthy man, but I never crossed that line. This picture is you. You are my brother and my wife's daughter.
He was probably waiting for a reaction, but I had already put everything from my past way behind me. The first thing that came to me was to say, "Thank you for finally finding me. I've been through hell and back, and I might have left something behind."
What?
He asks in confusion.
What do you mean you left something behind? What did you leave behind?
What do you think I left behind?
Your fucks. You didn't care about your past, right?
Good guess, Selena. It's not my personal choice of words, but you're right. I didn't care. So, to stop Rob from wasting both our time, I said, "Listen here, buddy. I don't care if your wife screwed you over. These things are beyond me. Don't ever come back to this town."
Don't you want to know about your mom and dad?
I began to leave as I was all too aware of manipulations and lying, and I saw that in Robert's eyes. But then he decided to say something honest for the first time.
You seem unbothered. Please don't leave. I need your help with your mom.
I stayed to hear him out, but it wasn't because I cared about the mom part. If you try to hide your true intentions again, I'm going to smash your face in those cakes through the glass. What do you need?
I need your DNA sample. I have to confirm my wife and brother's infidelity to prove something in my new will.
There you go, see? It isn't that hard to just tell the truth, but no.
What do you mean, no? I just need a picture and maybe your hair or saliva sample.
You can write a new will anytime. Just ask your lawyer to revoke the old will. Why do you have to drag people's lives? It won't change anything. When you're dead, you can't exactly celebrate, you know.
It's not that. I will keep the old will except leave something for you behind. My wife and brother made a mistake, but it was nothing any normal person wouldn't do, given the circumstances they were both in. But this is never about that. It's about me fixing what Susan did when she abandoned you. And don't you want to know how you end up in this town?
I like that about Rob. That's why I'm doing what he asked me to do. I said, "What do you need the DNA sample for? Just write your will and everything you want to say. Have it legalized by your lawyer, and put it on paper that it will only take effect when you suddenly die from an unnatural cause."
No one's going to kill me. I'm just rich, but I'm not in a mob or syndicate. I just want to tell Susan that I have known it all along and that I took care of you. I was partly to blame for her not coming clean about it.
Rob insulted the mob. I should have buried him headfirst in a narrow ditch, but he didn't know what he was talking about. Why don't you just tell her while you're still breathing? The way you talk, I won't be surprised you end up in a ditch one day. Besides, I'm doing fine if that's what's eating you inside.
You seem to have a lot of influence and authority. How have you been? Did the cruises raise you well?
Dad never told me about my past. We already had this talk, and I told him it did not matter anymore, and this old dude just carelessly revealed my past. I never wanted to dig up my past in a mad mob house, just so someone could use it against me. Rob didn't know he was endangering everyone. The cruises did not, they never did. I was not just raised by the wolves. I was raised by the people who turned wolves into lapdogs. Let me tell you something before you get any blood on your hands. I'm a prominent member of an organization that even the cartels respect. We could put your bones as an art exhibit in a private museum, so stop affiliating me with any of your people. Rob and I continued to talk, which eventually led to the decision that I would just read the new will. I brought him back to Dad and had him write a costly NDA too. He was never allowed to disclose anything. That's why I'm here to minimize the leak. Normally, I never have to tell you who I am or what I do, but you civilians won't give me the respect I'm used to, so I had to tell you about the mob. Now I know what they all felt around me. Let me read the rest of the will.
I know Rebecca would have done her part in excellence. Everything from the old will remain except for some changes. The newly acquired properties from whence this was written will be given back to the community. I'm hoping to acquire 3 privately owned companies and give it back to the people. If I'm successful, it will be documented by Lewis and Selena. Selena already knows just as much as she needs to know, and I have talked to Gunter about this arrangement. Upon my death, Selena will have gone through the heavy ordeal needed to decide if you're going to hear this from Susan's daughter, Rebecca. If she fails, then she's probably where I'm at right now, and this will is nothing but ashes and smoke.
I've talked about this with Dad. Aside from reading this will, I'm here to take Selena under my wing. As we continue to expand, I will need Selena to handle things I can't be bothered to do anymore. Now this is the last part of the will.
If and only I have fired the bad eggs of the company and personally vouched every partner, shall I allow this to be read by Rebecca? That means everyone shall sign the NDA.
Oh, there you go, Eric.
No further questions shall be asked, and this is what I meant with the money talks talk I've had with everyone. On a final note, Susan, this will be the last time you'll ever see your 2 daughters. They will now be part of an organization that has been thought to be the work of the devil, but in reality are just like a sister of the shadow organization our company was built upon, an organization that has been protecting everyone's right to live while staying out of sight. I know you'll understand, being the president of the org. I love you since the day I met you, and I will always love you still. If you have something to say, this is the end of the will. Say it now.
That's it. Lewis will take care of the shut-up document. Now let me see the symbol first, Selena.
Wait, Rebecca,
What, Susan? Are you stuttering now?
I hope you forgive me for not being there. I made sure you were well raised by the cruises, but they cut off connections and I can't find them. But believe me when I say I tried. Though I'm happy you grew up fighting for the right cause, please take care of your sister the way I would have taken care of you.
Yeah. Right, Susan. Selena, have you said your goodbyes?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I hope Rob can finally rest in peace. I have done my part. Did you prepare anything to bring?
No.
Good. You won't need anything. You're now cutting ties to this place, your family, and everyone you know, including your name. Grab a lot of orange juice. We're leaving. What is up with all the looks? Do I have to ask for wine just to... listen up, folks. Just because I'm a mobster doesn't mean I can't enjoy a nice glass of OJ. If you're so surprised by my choice of beverage, maybe you need to check your assumptions and stop stereotyping me. Well, it has been fun meeting everyone. I bid farewell, or like it has always been supposedly said, see y'all in hell. Oh, and Susan, like I said, I don't need a connection with you. I never needed you. I couldn't remember a time when your presence could have been of any help with my situation. You would only hinder me from being what I was supposed to be. You can now put all your guilt away. I can handle myself. Needless to say, I have forgiven you, so it's okay, Mom.